Okay. Uh-oh. Not again. You there?
What? Okay, so
We having more
this
technical
stereo.
difficulties?
No, they
Yeah.
made me fill out something for saying that you promised not to bully and all that stuff. I'm like,
Bully.
yeah, and now it's not letting me add. Let me see. Fiona to the talk. What the heck just happened?
Let me
Yay.
see
I
if I
guess
can.
I guess that means I don't know. There's a lot of stuff changing with
I
stereo.
guess so. Stereo is making changes. Every time we come back, it's becoming more and more like TikTok. That's for dang sure.
Yeah, like those videos and stuff. I was just like, when they start doing this, but it's all good. I get people getting with the times and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, really enjoyed barbecue this weekend with family, and I had the place pretty much jumping with some house music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just took my daughter back to Jersey and chilled out and did my hair. Finally finished this morning, ran out of a pack, so I had to go get a pack. And my husband was like, "You sure you don't want to get 2 packs?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure." He's like, "You sure about that?" I'm just
You
like,
sure about that?
"Are you sure about that?" I'm like, I needed a pack. Hey Fiona, hey Chelsea. You want to try to get Fiona on the panel?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
They even changed some things too, like on how you get people on your talk. Interesting. Just love
Oh,
the
okay.
changes
Yeah.
they're making.
We're gonna
But
have to practice before we actually get on just to
well,
see what they changed.
yeah, that'll probably be a
Because
good idea.
this is an evolving app. It's getting more popular, so they're making changes, trying to make it look similar to something that it wasn't before.
Oh, hey, ladies. Good to be here.
Hey, hi Fiona. How are you? Good to
Okay.
hear your voice in real time. Oh my gosh.
I
Love
know.
it.
I'm doing pretty
Wow.
good. How was everybody?
We
I'm
good, we good.
fantastic.
Yes, yes. Can't
Good.
complain. Won't complain.
Right? I know it's
Yes.
like, we made it through another weekend. We made it to another day. So that's a good thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I finished my hair and my shoulders can rest now.
Oh,
So
I need to take advantage of my niece while she's here from Florida so I can get my hair braided.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Make use of
Yeah,
those youngins and their
I know, right?
skills.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, hit me off with some of that before you get this arthritis over here, okay? Anyway, so man,
Yeah.
so I want to welcome everyone to the WineFine Podcast, episode 36, Tips on Dealing with
36.
Grief, with special guest
Brief.
Fiona Harvey.
How
Thank
you
you.
doing,
hello.
Fiona? Thanks a lot for stopping by. Thank
Thank
you
you
all that
all.
listening. Thank you for stopping. Thank you.
So before we get into this subject right here, that of course, not a lot of people talk about, but should talk about,
Hmm.
Azima, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on TikTok and Instagram as Azima the Only. That's Azima the Only. And you can find me on YouTube and Facebook as Ozidi Wellness and Fitness. That's Ozidi Wellness and Fitness. And where can we find you, Jovani?
So yeah, you can find me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and IG at Camp Jogo Fit. That's KampJogofit. And you can also subscribe to the WineFine Podcast to help us out. It's truly appreciated. Fiona, our special guest, where can everyone find you?
Hey everyone, on Instagram you can find me at Fiona VEY underscore twice, or on TikTok Fiona Harvey, just like Steve Harvey, HARVEY underscore.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh, you brought up Steve Harvey. He looked like Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah,
Yeah, Steve Harvey, Lori Harvey,
Oh
that's
the
how I see
man.
it.
Harveys.
Yeah, the Harveys. Yeah. So yeah, let's get into this because I know we're gonna have some good questions as well or comments, what
Hmm.
have you. So, Fiona, what is it that you do?
Yes, as I said before, I just want to say thank you both for having me. Hi, everyone. I'm Fiona. So I am a public health professional. I work in health communications, but also youth health and mental health, as well as a little bit of movement. So all the work that I do is focused on health, but I'm also an author and I've coached people in the past. So some of my friends would say that I'm a content creator. I don't see myself as one, but I do enjoy social media and using it in a positive and impactful way. So I'm really
Hmm.
happy to be here.
That's
Oh,
amazing. Okay, I'm happy you're
nice.
here. Yes.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. So, how did you get into making grief content, or why did you make grief content?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say so. I'm very familiar with grief. My father passed away when I was 2 years old. So as I
Oh.
started to develop, it was a concept that I just had to understand. I
Hmm.
have memories of being in kindergarten and first grade and kids asking about my dad and having to realize, okay, he's passed away. So the content came about COVID. So many people were affected by it. And
Hmm.
grief is something that I didn't always want to talk about because it can be depressing, right? It's not the
Yeah.
most happy go lucky topic. Death, dying, all of that. People kind of ignore it. So it's something that I didn't really want to talk about. But so many people were losing loved ones or who had friends who were losing people they
Yeah.
loved. So I decided,
Hmm.
it's time to talk about it. Some of my friends encouraged me as well. And then ever since that, I just started doing it. The series is called Navigating Grief, and it's been going pretty well. And I just want to destigmatize grief and make it something that we can talk about, especially in Black communities, communities of
Hmm.
color, to make it a more comfortable topic.
Yeah.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
would agree on that. That's really good because I know we're taught, to be so sad when somebody transition and everything, but
Hmm.
there are cultures out there that when somebody does transition, that they'll celebrate it, and it's not like a bad thing. You're just going to a different type of life.
Yeah.
So,
Different level in life. Yeah.
Right, right,
Yeah.
yeah,
right.
just like what Jada Kid says, why don't we laugh at death and cry at birth? So it's like I felt,
Hmm.
I didn't quite understand that at the time, but it was just like, more and more as I go on, I'm like, oh, I get it now. I get it.
Hmm.
Yes, yes. As
So let
time
me
goes
ask.
by, you kind of shifts how you view the death, and you kind of learn it
Yeah.
to manage it.
Yeah. I remember when my father passed. It was so horrible, but as time passed, I realized that it was a relief for him. He was the one that was
Mm,
suffering, and and he's not suffering anymore, and that's the good thing, and be happy for him that he is in a better place, and
Mm,
he has relief, so
yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, Azima. Yes.
Hmm.
So, like, are there different kinds of griefs?
Yeah, there is. And so there came a point where I realized, okay, I'm not okay. So I went to Grief Share,
Hmm.
and it was a great group for people who were facing loss to come together. And I thought grief was really about just death, but grief can be people who are going through divorce, people who are facing child loss, miscarriages, folks who are
Hmm.
maybe got laid off from a job. There are different types of grief comes in different types of forms. So it's not just death.
Correct. Okay. I
Mm.
thank
Yes.
you for saying that
Yeah.
because I was thinking about um there was a time when my oldest daughter, she's 19 now, and her father decided he didn't want to be with me anymore.
Mm.
And I wasn't really upset about him, not wanting to be with me because I really couldn't stand him. But his family, I felt like I lost his family. Like
Mm-hmm.
he had such a huge family, and his sister was so helpful, and they were talkative, stuff that I didn't really experience because I come from like a quiet household. We didn't talk or say anything. It was weird, but being around people who just talked and communicated and expressed their feelings and stuff like that, and then not having it anymore because I was not a part of their life. And they wouldn't
Yeah.
even answer the phone, and I was just like so devastated by just being not being a part of that group anymore, that I felt
Aw.
like I
Right.
lost something, and I was so upset. And I was like, "Oh, how is my daughter gonna be a part of this family?" And blah blah blah. And it still happened because she went to go see her father and stuff like that, so she still got that. But I was left out. But I had to get
Right.
over it. You know what I mean? But that was, I just, when you said it, that I was like, oh, that must have been me grieving the loss of somebody who didn't even pass away. It was just like I'm not a part of that system anymore. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
It's true. And so I learned that grief can come in so many different forms,
mhm.
but it sounds like it was kind of out of the blue, this feeling. So
Mhm.
that's one type of grief, regular grief. But then there's also anticipatory grief, which
Mm.
Mhm.
is where you are expecting your loved one to pass away, or you're helping them with the funeral planning, and you kind of
Mhm.
know they may have a terminal illness. This is going to happen. They're going to pass away, and it's time to
Mhm.
prepare. I think Azima shared earlier with her dad. Sadly, he was suffering. You knew
Mhm.
the end was near, and so that's anticipatory grief, where you actually are realizing, wow, my loved one is going. There, we hold on to faith, but at the
Mhm.
same time things are looking slim. The chance is looking very slim, and that's a
Mhm.
difficult part of grief too, because there's stress, where wow, okay, I have to prepare for a homegoing. I have to prepare to pick out a casket. Wow, I have to talk about will and other types of tasks that go into funerals. I remember when my aunt passed away. This is where, so it was a mix. I think because she was so young, my aunt Joan, it
Mhm.
hurt because she did have cancer, but she was pretty young. She was 50, and she was fighting it. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fight this. I'm gonna beat this." She booked vacations for a few months down, and then
Mhm.
sadly she did pass away. So although I knew there's a possibility, it also hurt because she wanted to live, and
Ah,
that can be
Mm.
difficult. I mean, 50, 51 is young, so that's another form of grief
wow.
too. That anticipatory, but doesn't make it hurt any less. And for
No.
some people can be comforting because you don't want to see your family member suffer. You do want them to have a peaceful death, and you are ready to prepare. But for others, it can be tough. It can create anxiety, especially if you're not used to funerals. So those are some
Mhm.
types of grief.
Okay. So now that you're talking about the different types and you're adding something I didn't know was a part of it. So you basically, a breakup could be grief. Losing a job
Yes,
could be grief.
yes.
And then,
Breakups, especially. Yeah.
yeah. Wow. Okay. Cuz I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, there's so many things that felt kind of the same, but because it didn't involve death, I'm telling myself to get over it, or thinking back on it, and it might sting a little, you know why does this sting? It's just I just got fired, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like the greatest job in the world, you know what I mean, but it still hurt. for that to happen. So I find it interesting that those fall into the same category of grief.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
was very grateful for that grief share that I went to, and of course, loss, death is pretty well known when it comes to grief, and that's what I talk about
Mhm.
with my platform, TikTok, Instagram. I talk about grief and death, that because that's what I know
Mhm.
personally.
Yeah.
Hmm. That's some
You
good
have.
info. It never definitely gives me a different perspective on things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: is there a right way to deal with grief?
Mm. So when it comes to grief, so with my story, I've lost a lot of loved ones throughout the years.
Mhm.
Like I've lost my father, my sister when I was little, my aunt, my grandmother. I had to learn this the hard way. Is that when it comes to grief, you really just have to feel it. You have to let the emotions flow. You have to give your space time to cry. You have to give yourself space to feel upset, to feel angry, to feel frustrated, to feel real deep sorrow. There's a
Mhm.
quote that says, "Grief is the price we pay for love." So
Mm.
if you love someone and they're no longer here, that does affect you, and you can try to carry on business as usual, but it becomes very difficult because, hey, the person that you love, the person that you deeply care about, they're no longer physically on earth. You can't call them up, you can't text them, you can't see them. So I love that question: is there a right way? I always say there's no right or wrong way to grieve, but
Mhm.
I do say you have to let yourself feel the emotions. So whatever you're feeling, it's okay. If you're sad, feel it. With this platform, we're three amazing Black women. In our cultures, we're always taught to come on, keep going, head up. You know,
Mhm.
don't,
Get over it.
hey, come on now, get over
Mhm.
it. Some cultures they'll say pray it away, and just don't worry. You got to work, you got to grind. But here's the
Mhm.
thing: we're human. We're human beings, and we're not human doings. One of my mentors, Kristen
Ah,
Dekendorf,
Interesting.
I had
yeah,
an
she
English
says we're
teacher,
not.
no.
Yeah, she
I had
says
an
we're
English
not
teacher, and
human
when I was in
doings.
freshman in LIC,
Uh-huh.
yeah, she used to say that, and I never used when she used to say it. Then I used to be like, "What the heck is she talking about?" But as I got older, I get it. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm here.
It's it's real, Giovanni. We have to feel. For myself, when my aunt Joan, I was in high school, she passed away. I consider her a second mom. And then 2 years later, my grandmother passed away. I was in high school.
Mm.
And with my culture, Caribbean culture, it's all about getting good grades, study. So I kept my head in the books. I'm like, okay, I'm praying, I'm good, I'm good. Let me tell you, ladies, when I got to college, I broke down because all of the weight of the grief that I tried to ignore and get over, it caught up to me because
Yeah.
I held it within my body, thinking that I can just study, I could just move on. And I'm telling everybody this: grief, you'll never get over it. You just learn how to manage it.
Mhm.
Uh, because do you stop loving the person that you lost? Absolutely not. They're always with you. So you always kind of grieve them.
Mhm.
You just learn how to manage it. So the right way to grieve is to feel it. I would say that's number one. Feel it. Feel the sadness. Feel the sorrow. Then the second step is to get support. Whether you may find that in the church or your mosque, you may find it in a support group. There are
Mhm.
grief share groups out there. I had to go to one. I went to grief counseling. I did a 6-week program. You might have to find an accountability buddy. You might have to
Okay.
reach out to a friend or a family member who's also grieving and said, "Hey, can we check in?" So I lost my cousin slash brother in November, and we have a family group chat now. just to check in on each other and we
Oh, that's
reminisce. And it's
beautiful.
been very healing. Yeah.
Mm. A family group
Then,
chat.
That's
yeah.
important. Life
Yeah.
is so short, or
Yeah.
can be
I
short.
think I like that idea. Where you can just talk or like something pops up in your head. Like this past week I was listening to Sting. And Father's Day just passed, but I was listening to Sting. It was a song he made called I forgot the name of the song, but it's like he goes on, the rain will fall, and realize how human we are, how fragile we are.
Mm, yeah.
And it was one of the songs that my dad would play, and I never really paid attention to it. And when it came on, I started crying in the car.
Mm,
But it was just like these little triggers where
yes.
something just like matches the energy of the person that you knew. And he listened to a lot of jazz, so I
Mm.
avoid it because if I hear something that I used to listen to as I was a kid in the back seat, and it would trigger me and get me really upset. So you know what I mean? So I think the way I manage it is, okay, if I'm gonna listen to music, if I know I want to deal with the problem, I'll listen to it. If I don't want to deal with the problem, I'll just skip over the song. That's how
Mm.
because I think music was like what, that's how he expressed himself. Because he did not talk. He didn't express himself any other way. He just listened to songs that, you know, would basically talk for him.
So he
Like
just have a whole
there's,
conversation with
yeah,
bars,
with music. He said with
with music
bars.
and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so there was
That's
one
beautiful.
Nigerian, yeah, there was
Yeah.
one Nigerian song that I knew if he was listening to it, he missed his mother. And it was a
Oh.
song called Sweet Mother. And it's very popular. Like it's so old, but if I heard him singing playing that song, I knew how he was feeling. And I play that song when I'm missing my mom, or she's like too busy to talk or something like that, and it comes up, I think about her. So I know that's what he used those songs to express his feelings. So that's how I know him, by what
That's
I
beautiful.
what I listened to. I literally saw his CDs after his passing. Like I have his music and downloaded it on my MP3 player. So that's how I hold on to him.
That's how
And
you
like
help
I said,
honor. Yeah,
hmm
Azima, that's how you help honor his memory. How many years has it been since he's passed away?
he died in 2013, April 2013. So
Wow.
yeah,
And that's 10 years ago, but
yeah.
it could still
Can you
bring
believe
tears to
that?
your eyes. I
Yeah,
Yeah.
can.
wild time flew.
Yeah.
hmm
I tell people all the time that sometimes the grief will make you sad, sometimes it'll make you laugh, sometimes it'll make you happy, because that
hmm
means that you were loved. Love is a strong emotion, and grief is a part of that. So the fact that 10 years later you're like, you know what, oh, that's daddy's song, but I know I
hmm
have to change this song right now. Or you may
hmm
listen, that just means your dad is always with you. And I'm
hmm
sure you have children. Maybe if you said to them, oh, your grandfather loved this song.
I
Or
have.
yeah, yeah.
I
And
have
that's
done
how
that.
that's
Yeah.
how look at that. I think that's wonderful.
hmm
Your father's legacy lives on
hmm
because of you. I tell people all the time, the person may not be here on earth, but they live on because of you. All the
hmm
lessons, all the love, all the stories, experiences that you've shared with your loved one that's died, they live on because of you.
Yeah.
I mean, there are going to be people that are listening to this podcast and they may go ahead and go to Spotify or iTunes and look up that song.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah. I think I think that's always just good to remember. So when it comes to grief, you got to feel it, then you
hmm
have to seek support, and you have to find what works for you and keep doing it, because it's very easy to fall into depression. It's very easy to isolate yourself when it comes to
Yeah.
grief.
Oh, I'm at a point in my life where I'm embracing my feelings, and paying attention to what bothers me, what doesn't bother me. So it's something that I wasn't doing before. Like this whole year I've been more active about how I feel about my father than I did in the past. And I think right now I'm just at a point in my life where I'm just trying to accept it and absorb my, understand myself and what I'm feeling, instead of just, pushing it to the back and say I'll deal with that later. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
I noticed that I was more vocal about my father this year than I was last year or the year before that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
really, really special.
We have a comment here from a Lucifer, and they have a Baphomet picture. So I'm not gonna play their comment because I don't see what they're saying in their words, and I don't get a good feeling they said something that was of value. So I'm just gonna
Okay.
disregard that comment before we get
Yeah.
into the next series of questions.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
So super. So why does it feel like so the next question, why does it feel like I'm going over and I'm going to lose and I'm not getting over it, if that makes sense?
Mm. Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense because, well, for myself, my opinion, grief is not something you get over.
Mm.
It's something that you just learn to manage. Because would you
Yeah.
ever stop loving that person that passed away? No. I mean,
No?
when I think about it, Zima, you've lost your father. Jovani,
Hmm.
you lost people close to you. I've
Hmm.
lost folks that I love. I'll always love them. Whitney Houston sang it best. I'll always love you. And so you don't get over grief. You just learn how to manage it. Uh,
Okay.
and so it looks like when it's your loved one's birthday, maybe you take a
Mm.
moment to play their favorite songs. Maybe you take a moment to light a candle for them and just say a
Hmm.
positive affirmation or a prayer. I know when it's any of my loved ones' birthdays or anniversaries of their death, I do
Hmm.
take some time to acknowledge it. Maybe I'll share a post on Instagram. Uh, I have a playlist that I created of different songs dedicated to my loved ones. And I
Hmm.
remember them because I'll never forget them. So I had to learn that. I learned that the hard way, ladies. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
wow, okay, I'm in high school. I'm thinking I'm okay. I'm getting good grades. I got this. I'm good. I got over my grief. And then I hit a
Hmm.
point where it's like, ooh, no, you didn't.
Yep.
You
You
know,
Like
one,
didn't.
a brick hit you.
A
you
brick
know,
hit me.
You can't stop
just
crying.
sharing that, it makes me think about my coworker, right? Now, I'm not going to get
Hmm.
into how his grandson passed away because
Mm.
everybody's here is going to get peed off like real bad, and I'm not even going to take anybody to that level. But to
Okay.
just keep the story short, he lost his grandson who just turned 1 and everything, and he found him, he was just trying to work. We was like, hey, do you just want to take off, work for a little bit? No, I want to work, and so now, a year later or so, we were starting to see how it was kind of like affecting him. Like he just
Hmm.
really was like trying not to think about grieving. He was, trying to stay busy at work. And then eventually, you know, everything else came into play where he had to like act out on his grief, but it was in ways
Mm,
that he shouldn't have done. Like he had a situation with a dog where he basically, you know, the dog transitioned. I'll just say that much.
Oh.
And yeah, so because he was choosing not to go to counseling and he was just there for his daughter, but he needed to go to counseling himself. Now he's going to counseling, which I'm glad.
good.
Hmm.
I would have preferred that it been done around the time that his grandson transitioned, but I'm glad that he's seen how it's affecting him now, that to the point where he is
Hmm.
going to counseling and he is like looking to deal with that grief that he was trying to avoid.
Yeah. It sounded like the ball dropped on him, and
Oh
he
yeah.
didn't realize that. It's like he had one loss, and then to lose a dog, he was thinking, oh, it's not going to be anything, and it's just as bad, and then it
Well,
just
it
adds
wasn't
on
his
top of
dog,
it.
but
It wasn't his
he
dog.
he
Oh,
used. I'll just say this: he used his anger to defend himself against a dog that was trying to bite him. So,
oh
uh,
no.
I will,
Okay,
yeah.
got you. Jeez.
But yeah,
Got
yeah,
it.
I
it
got
was
it. I got it.
crazy. So just to say the least,
Right.
um,
Mm.
I don't know
Right.
if he's going. Yeah, but
No, but that's so true. You have to deal with it because
Yeah,
it
because you
catches
can
up
take it
to
out.
you. I know we
Exactly.
have a variety of listeners in here, men and women. You, no
Mhm.
matter what your gender is, your race, your age, you have to seek professional help when it comes to grief, because
Mhm.
they have the tools. So I'm in therapy right now. I've been for the last few years, and it's really helped me
Mhm.
because there's professional ways to deal with this. And I believe in prayer. I believe in faith in God, and we may have people of different religions in here. So you have your faith. So there's your faith, and then there's also people who are licensed to help you handle what comes with grief. Because a lot of
Mhm.
people go through anxiety, they go through stress, they go through depression, they go through isolation, they're triggered, and having that extra professional support, people who have tools to assist you, is everything. And it's
Okay.
hard because I was talking to uh my godmother, and I was like, wow, I should have been in therapy years ago. When maybe when my sister died, I probably should have been in there, or my aunt at least. But I don't know if anybody can relate. With Black families, it's kind of taboo to go to
Mhm.
therapy. Now I feel like the last 5 years or so, maybe it's not as
Not
taboo.
so.
People are seeking
No.
therapy. But growing
Mhm.
up as a kid in high school, therapy wasn't really for us. You put your faith in God, which you can do, but there's other tools as well to
But
help you.
hopefully you had somebody to talk to,
Yeah.
pastor, something like that. But I do. I agree. There was not a lot of that kind of support back then,
no,
or
and
No.
not something
if
that we
I
seeked. Yeah.
and then also if I can also even just chime in on another tool that a lot of us are basically pushed away from, but plant medicines, like, because there's a
Mm.
shaman that I know that he has ayahuasca, and I know that that's that type of thing that could kind of take you in a different realm, so you could kind of understand why these things happened and stuff. And the cool thing
Mhm.
was, when I told my coworker about it, he was cool, cash at me the stuff, and then I sent it over to him. Whether he took
Mhm.
it, I don't know. For all I know, I did my part on letting him know, hey, you could probably
Mhm.
like get a little extra help from these medicines out there. Not that we are medical professionals, because we're not people.
Mhm.
This is just some
Exactly.
things that can be tried if you want,
Mhm.
based on your decision, not on what we're saying or suggesting.
Okay.
I
All
don't
right.
want to
So,
get flagged or anything for saying we're giving medical advice.
Right, but it's just a suggestion, and everybody can see what works for them.
okay. So that's going into my next question, because I'm like, how can we tell people how to handle grief when we all handle things differently? How we're so different, and so many beliefs. How can we even tell people how to handle something when
Mm.
we vary?
Right. Yeah. No, that's a great
Mhm.
question. It is hard because we do vary. We really do.
Mhm.
Different religions, different beliefs. But I
Mhm.
would say everybody can benefit from therapy or a grief share group. So, one resource is therapy for Black girls. If you live in New York, there's something called NYC Well. They connect you. So, just suggesting that people just be a friend. I could say that much. It's a very tricky
Mhm.
topic, but you could say, I don't understand what you're going through. I don't know what you're feeling, but I do care about you. And if you need someone to listen to, I am here.
Mhm.
Maybe your friend might need a meal. Like, I'll never forget it. My colleagues gave me an Uber gift card so I could just order meals for the week. And that helped me out so much because
Wow.
when you're grieving, it's hard to
Mhm.
cook. It's hard to do basic things like
It's hard to
laundry.
eat.
Yeah. Oh,
Not
you
to
said it's
mention
hard to
the
eat.
energy, the
Mhm.
Yeah.
energy that's gonna go into your food. You know, if you cooking while sad and everything. I know I'm
Mhm.
big on just not eating anybody's food. You know,
Mhm.
so
Right.
it's,
Right. So that's what I would say. Look, I'm not a therapist. I know you both are in different fields as well. So, but I did do some mental health trainings. So I don't give mental health advice. I'm not licensed. So I
Mhm.
talk from what I'm good in. I mean, Azima and Jovani, you both are amazing at working out. Maybe you could say,
Mhm.
hey, you want to come to the gym with me? I'll come this time. Hey, I'm actually
Mhm.
making this really great tea. Would you like to try it? We could chat. Whatever it is that
Mhm.
you're doing and it's something positive, invite your friend that's grieving or see what they have
Mhm.
the capacity for. That's the best way to, in my opinion, to show up. Because it's
Mhm.
genuine, but it doesn't also put you in a weird position. Because
Yeah.
grief is very tricky, and I created the Navigating Grief series to just help people help themselves, but also help others who are grieving. So whatever your
Mhm.
strength is, let your friend know, hey, I care and I'm going to this. How do you feel? Would you like to join me? I'd love to have you.
Mhm.
Or can I DoorDash you a meal? What are you in the mood to eat? And it'll make a difference. Sometimes it
Mhm.
may mean looking up a grief share group. I had to do that for one of my friends, to help them find different grief share groups in their area, and then sending them the link because they just couldn't do it. You're
Mhm.
you're you're so sad that you can't look up resources. You kind of stifled. So that's my
Okay.
suggestion.
that
All
makes
right.
sense because it made me think about the episode of Good Times when Florida was, just trying to be busy, busy, busy. Then all of a sudden, she throws
Mm.
a glass bowl on the ground, talking about damn, damn, damn. So, that's definitely an example of somebody trying to hold it in and, just like what you were saying earlier, Fiona, that you were
Mhm.
just going, keeping in your studies, just, and then when you got to college, you just broke down.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like college is a place where all children go to break down. Like they're just like, wow, this is a lot. And then
It's
you're
a lot.
dealing with life struggles as well. It's a lot during that time period. You're
Yes.
gonna break down off of
Yep.
something.
Because
Yeah.
you're growing so much. It's like you're maybe your first time away from home, new
Mhm.
responsibilities.
Mhm.
You want to party, you want to enjoy, but it's everything at once. And now you feel like, wow, this is what becoming an adult is. Oh no,
Yeah,
your
it's whack.
hormones are still growing, and then yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
So I remember after on during 9/11, I was going to Pace University, and I didn't even know any of the people that were lost in the towers, and I was so devastated. Like, why? How did I succeed out of getting out of the building while a lot of people had perished?
Mm.
And I was just like, it didn't make any sense to me. I was so confused. But I remember like grieving people I didn't even know. And then I grieved the job that I didn't have anymore because, the building's gone. You know what I mean? So I was grieving people. I didn't even know if they survived, if they're living. I don't see them on Facebook. I don't see them on LinkedIn. I don't see them anywhere. I don't see none
Wow.
of them. Not one of them. So I don't know what's going on. All I know is that weekend before, I had a nightmare that buildings were falling. So when this happened, I bolted down West Side Highway, and that's how I got myself out of there. You know what I
So
mean? So
wow,
I
you
didn't.
were you were working in
Yeah,
in one of the towers.
yeah. I was working in World Trade Center as a
Wow.
a young American Express employee, and yeah. So, but the idea of worrying about people I didn't really know, and they were all grown ups. It's just like
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time worrying about those people and are they okay, and the question if they even exist anymore. So
Yes.
it's sometimes grief is not even for people close to you. I feel like it's when you cared for the environment you were in, it just that can you can have those feelings of grief as well. So
You nailed it, Azima. You're absolutely
mhm.
right. That's a great point and something that I wanted to touch on tonight because
Mhm.
it's so true. You may not know the person, but you can still grieve them. It especially
Mhm.
happens with celebrities too. So everybody
Yes.
knows I love Tina Turner. Rest in
I
peace,
know you
Tina.
do.
And
Oh
she
Yes.
yeah.
passed away. And I'm an old soul, right? Like I was not even born when a lot of her songs came out, but
Mhm.
I love her music because my mom used to play it. And when she died, it was
Mhm.
tough for me. So some people may say, well, you didn't know her, you didn't even go to her concerts, but it's possible to grieve celebrities because they invoke something within us that bring us back to a certain point in our lives.
Mhm.
They bring
I
back
agree.
memories, and so
Mhm.
you may not even know that Nigerian singer, or I don't know
Mm-mm.
Sting. I don't know. Maybe you went to a Sting
So
concert,
I've
Zima.
I
never
felt
been
that
to a
way
Sting
about
concert.
Prince.
I've
Hey, oh,
never
you
been.
see, you feel me, Jovani? Like
Exactly.
Prince, Michael, like
I'm like, his death still does not sit right with me. I don't care what anybody
No.
says. Like they
yes,
got him. He
Yeah.
was too woke for them.
yes.
Mm.
A lot of us have,
Yeah.
you grow up with some of these celebrities. Maybe you were a kid when Prince came out and he was a part of
Yeah.
your junior high experience, and you're just like, Prince is gone, or
I've been in
I
love with
remember,
Prince since childhood, so
yeah,
Yeah, that was
yes,
like
I
kindergarten.
literally
Yeah.
dated a guy who looked like Prince just because he looked like
you
Prince.
Wow.
see,
Yeah. So it hit me hard when he passed. I think I took a day off after his passing.
yes,
Yeah, let's
I was
grab
just
this
like,
comment from Chelsea.
yeah.
Speaking of grieving people you don't know, I think, as black people in America, we have unique uh, grieving that is often like, community kind of based, especially anytime you see a tragedy happening to a black person on the news and the media,
Mhm.
or even just the reminders of like past injustices and stuff. We'd be grieving for our ancestors. Like,
Yeah.
whew, we got grief every day.
ooh, yeah,
I think that's the reason why black people specifically, you might not find them grieving, or they'll avoid the grieving. It can be a lot. It's just an overwhelming feeling of grief, especially when you hear negativity on the news, with how, you know, black lives are treated. Um it's just like, oh, here's another one, and then you just like, you just get numb. And
yeah,
then when it happens, you're wondering why people are rioting or getting really upset, or it's we don't when we don't handle our grief, it comes out in a very negative way. And I mean, as a human race, but I feel like lately we've been seeing a lot of those reactions to things. Like, think about what's the name, the Eric Garner situation, and
yes. When he
people
was being
reacted
choked,
towards that. Yeah, so I mean, I feel like when you see those things, you're just like, oh, not again, and then you try not to react to it, and then when somebody triggers you, you just you go off on people because you can feel that they either didn't care or it means nothing to them, and you come off being an angry black person because
right,
how the
right.
world perceives it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good point from Chelsea
Yeah.
because I remember I was living in Florida when Trayvon Martin, rest in peace, when he was murdered, and it brought tears to my.
Hmm.
I was
Hmm.
a couple years older than him, and I looked at him and I was like, that could easily have been my little cousin,
Hmm.
and I never met him. Same thing with George Floyd, Eric Garner, all
Yeah.
of these. individuals whose lives were taken due to
Mhm.
racism, and you do kind of, I think the media wants us to get numb and keep moving forward, because even when our ancestors were on the plantations, whether they had a good or bad day, they had to get to work. Whether their child
Mhm.
was stolen or not, or sold, they had to
Yeah,
keep.
to keep on going
Yes. And so
to
for a lot
live.
of us, we have to
Mhm.
keep going, but now we can actually feel our emotions and take time and rest and cry
Mhm.
and grieve and feel. And I think that is truly transformative. It's definitely healing for us to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chelsea, for that comment.
Yes. All right. So, I mean, I know you talked about all the losses that you had in your life, but are you still dealing with grief? I'm assuming that's a yes, yeah?
Yep, it's a yes. I'll be completely honest. I got to a
Mhm.
point where I was like, wow, life is great. I've learned how to manage my grief
Mhm.
over the years. And then in November 2022, Lewis, who is my first and only, like my first friend, my first cousin, we always would say we're siblings because our moms are sisters.
Mhm.
He passed away, and then everything just again, it felt like my life hit a reset button, and
Mhm.
all the work that I did to manage grief, it came like, oh, we're back. So I have
Mhm.
better tools now. Like I'm in therapy now. I'm still trying to find a grief share group, but I am still grieving, and I feel like my life kind of hit like a backwards button. But I'm learning how to just take my time, but it's definitely been a challenge. It's only been 6 months since he died, and I'm
Mhm.
coming to the fact that he is gone. But there's that denial. Some say that there's 5 stages of grief. There's the denial, there's the anger. You go through all of this, and then you finally get to acceptance. But in my opinion, I've learned it's just a cycle, because there's some days where I'm still in denial that, wow, he really is
Mhm.
gone. I'm upset. So I think it's
Mhm.
important to just feel whatever you do. And so yes, I do agree.
I will
Okay.
say this, despite, you saying, you mentioning that you've been dealing, with grief in different, areas of your life, your spirit definitely glows and still shines despite all of that. Like I
It
would have,
certainly does.
like, if I'm just like, if I didn't look at the words on your video or like hear what you were saying, I would think that you were a very extremely happy person, that everything just is perfect for you. But that's like the
Mhm.
energy that you're giving off, which is a good thing.
That is an amazing thing, cuz that
Yeah.
is true, cuz I'm saying to myself, I'm like, when I watch your videos, Fiona, right? And let's say you were talking about grief or you were talking about injustices and stuff like that, I would not have known it looking at the video without no sound. You really are just a positive human being.
Yeah.
Your smile shines, you glow. And
Yeah.
I'm very thankful that, though, whatever, regardless of the message, you come on, you bring it in real smooth. It's not like there's any anger
She's
behind
living it.
it. Yeah. And
She's
I think
living
that's
it.
pretty cool. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you both so
You're
much for
welcome.
saying that, because honestly, I've done a lot of work to get there, because I had to be honest with myself. I was like, okay, I'm sad every day.
Mhm.
Billy Bob Thornton, I watched some of his videos, and he said at any given moment, I'm 50% happy, 50% sad. So there's
Mhm.
always a little sadness inside of me, but I also am happy, and I know that my loved ones would want me to live a full life and to continue my life. So instead of, throwing a pity party and like, why did
Mhm.
this happen to me? Why, and being negative, I allow myself to feel it, and then whatever lessons I've learned from my loved ones, I continue that on. And so I
Mhm.
appreciate you both saying that, because I'm intentional about it. I don't want to
Mhm.
be angry. To be angry, it takes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
To just really be, sad every day, you're not living. I
Mm-hmm.
am sad, but I'm also trying to live a fulfilling life. So I'm just taking
Mm-hmm.
all the lessons that I've learned from this. But like the saying goes, making lemonade out of lemons. Because I've
Mm-hmm.
been dealt a lot of lemons. And I'm like, all right, what are we going to do with it? I can't
Mm-hmm.
sit in pity anymore. I'm
Add a
also not a
spoonful of
kid.
sugar.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So I
Yeah.
thank you both for that.
Yeah, I was just, I was thinking, how do I say this? When you experience stuff like this, you have to acknowledge what you still have, and I still have my mom, I have my
Yeah.
siblings, I have my family, my husband, my kids, I have his kids, and they're all smiling and they're all happy. And, life still, it moves on, and, you got to live for them, and and, that's what they would have wanted for us, is to continue regardless of what has happened for them. They, that they have passed and stuff like that. They don't want you holding on to
Mm,
whatever negativity has happened between you, or just holding on to something that doesn't exist anymore, when you have everything
mm,
existing around you, circulating around you. And you have to, you know, take time to maybe grieve a little, but then there's a world around you that still exists, and you have to interact with it. So, it's a blessing that I have my community, the people I have. And I remember grieving a friendship that had left, and I was blessed to get it back, which is Jovani. So
Oh.
I remember grieving when you moved to California, and when you came back, you don't know how happy I was. And
Oh.
so I'm just like,
yeah, that's
God,
you,
that was from here
it
to
was a
this.
grief. I remember I just had Mila, and you had left, and
Yeah.
you were traveling with the person you were
Yeah.
with at the time. And I just
Right.
remember, I was like, is she gonna come back? Is she gonna be safe? She's driving through these states and blah blah,
Yeah.
this and that. I just had all this fear in my mind. I said, you know what, let me just pray for her, and if God brings her back to me, she'll bring her back. And here I am on a talk show with my friend, and I think that's truly a blessing. So sometimes you just got to let things go. And if it comes back to you, just be thankful for it. So that's all I have to say.
Oh gosh. Good.
I'm sorry. I'm just like, I'm finding my grief, and I wanted to talk about it.
Yes.
So, and
Good.
like
That.
I said, not everything stayed that way. It's just, there's some things
Right.
that I had to let go, and then there's some things I was blessed to have back. And then there's
Yes.
things that as time changes and you grow up, and you just have to embrace who you are right now, and just let go of the things that you were in the past, and just be thankful for it. So I'm very thankful, and that's what helps me get through my grief, is the overwhelming blessings that I have in my life.
Oh,
Yes.
that's beautiful. Oh my
you know
goodness.
Yeah, that was beautifully said, Azima. It's so true. It's so
mhm
true. You can hold space for yourself. You're grieving the loss of a loved one, but also appreciating the people that are still here, and the
mhm
relationships that you still can create, and the memories that are still to come with people who are with you right now.
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you lose, and then you gain, and I've gained a lot, so I'm okay. And I think,
Mm.
Oh.
my dad asked me, he was like, "Are you okay?" And this is like days before he passed. He was like, "You okay?" And I don't
Mm.
know what he meant by the okay, but I know me and him, been through a lot. It wasn't the greatest experience growing up with him, but I still loved him. And I said, I'm okay. I'm fine. And I think he wanted to be okay with, because I think he remembered what he's done to me as a child. So I think he just wanted to make sure that, you know, we're still good regardless of those things. And I'm like, that stuff is in the past, and I wouldn't be who I am without him.
Hello.
So, yeah, that's it.
Oh, this was beautiful. This is all.
Yeah.
I just love all the information that was shared today, and the heartfelt stuff got me
Hmm.
over here feeling mushy.
Don't get too mushy.
No, I'm not. No, but
Okay.
I'll definitely say, this, Azima's definitely one of the longest friends that I had for a long time that, we were still able to grow in our own space but still be connected.
Hmm.
And not a lot of people can say that, you
Hmm.
know? So
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's
this
true.
is true friendship where there's that support. You're able to inspire each other. Working on this fantastic show is
Hmm.
definitely a blessing in so many years of friendship. So
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
wonderful. Yeah.
And then I don't. And then the biggest thing, she won't lie. She won't lie to me. She won't tell me what I want to hear. So that's a good thing. People need to have friends like
I don't.
that
I don't.
because
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
That's
know.
a
not gonna
true
tell you
friend.
what you want to hear. I'm not a
I
friend
don't.
if
I
I'm
don't want
if
to. I don't want to fudge you
freaking
up. So it's
be
best
a
to just
yes
tell you the
man.
truth.
So
Yeah.
And also, what I've learned over the years, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So just
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
watching the way that you two work with one another, I can tell there's a lot of respect. It's said
Mm-hmm.
with love. It's not nasty and malicious. Because sometimes people think to get your point across, you have to be cutthroat and mean.
Keep it
Mm-hmm.
No, you
real.
keep it real. You can keep it real with
No,
love. You can keep it
I
real with
got to keep it real.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. All right. This was a good show. I really
Heck yeah,
appreciate
I
it.
loved it. It was ongoing, good
So
information, nice
good.
flow here we had. So man, so we
Mm-hmm.
got 3 minutes left. Just so real quick, Azima, where can everyone find you?
Okay, you can find me, Azima, the only. That's Azima, the only on TikTok and Instagram, and you can find me at Ozidi Wellness and Fitness. That's Ozidi Wellness and Fitness on YouTube and what's the other one? Facebook. And I just want to let you know, Ozidi is something that my father. It's a Nigerian folklore that my father used to tell me and my siblings about when we were kids. So that's the reason why my brother originally named um, his fitness channel about with the words Ozidi. So it's a name of a folklore. But if it wasn't for my dad, we probably wouldn't even have the fitness channel that we have together. Well, now I took over it, but it's from my father, so it's still stories that my dad told us that we're holding on to.
Oh,
So
that's just
that's it.
beautiful.
Where can we find
Love
you,
it.
Jovani?
Yeah, so I love that. So yeah, you can find me on all platforms. That's the Fedbook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at
Mm-hmm.
Camp Jogo Fit. That's KMPJOGOFIT. And Fiona, let us know where everyone can find and connect with you again.
Yes. Thank you to the amazing hosts, Jovani and Azima, for having me. Thank you to all the guests that tuned in today. You can find me on Instagram, Fiona VY underscore, or on TikTok, Fiona Harvey underscore. I'd love to stay
Okay.
connected, and my website is Fiona FIONA V as in Victor EY.com. Thank you.
Love it.
Can you
So,
repeat that website again,
Sure.
Fiona?
It's
Yes.
Yep, it's Fiona F as in Frank IONA V as in
Mm-hmm.
Victor E as in elephant Y as in yellow FionaV.com.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Yes.
yeah.
All
You.
right.
All right. So
It was
this is
really great.
great. So yeah, we'll definitely be here again next week. We'll actually be doing the episode that we couldn't do last week just because of technical difficulties, but we definitely have to touch base on the fact of 30% of the men who test for DNA tests are not the father. So make sure you tune in next week for that. And want to thank
Yes.
everyone for tuning in. Y'all have a
Thank
good
you
night.
all. Have a good
Peace.
night. Bye.